thanks for coming on Shout Out with Sage to tell us about um, your journey. And I mean, you've had quite the journey, it seems. Wait, let me read all your accolades here. You are a Golden Globe winner, a two-time Grammy winner, you're Oscar nominated, BMI Trailblazer Award, and two NAACP Image Awards, and those were back to back. And this is Slikk Music today. So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And who all have you worked with? I mean, that's a long list of people as well. So
It's a host of people. Just to name a few: Ariana Grande, Chris Brown, Ty Dolla $ign, Jamie Foxx, Janet Jackson, um, French Montana. I mean, it's a lot of people. Ludacris, Trey Songz, etc., etc. I've been working with a lot of people for quite some time.
were any of them instrumental? Like, did any of them also like uh, help you out at all?
Oh, absolutely. I say everybody I worked with, I had opportunity to work with, was instrumental just in my growth musically, but not just musically, just as an individual, and as a businessman, and just understanding the music business, right? Not just
Okay, wait, I'm gonna stop you there. So what are what are some things that you didn't know before that you then learned about the music business?
well, in the music business. I mean, when I first moved out to California back in 2013, um, I didn't I didn't quite know anything. I was just a young kid that was anxious to get a hit record and just to do what I love for full time for a living. I didn't understand nothing about publishing like that. I didn't understand points and royalties and things of that nature, and how important it is, for you in the long run, long term. So I say just being able to work with these different people, and even like with Babyface, him just really sitting down and understanding the paperwork and split sheets, um, and things of that nature that really helped open my perspective to it's really important that you make sure you take care of your business up front.
Right. I mean, you're doing it to, provide a living. So if
Absolutely,
you're not,
yes.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so what were some of the things like specifically, like let's say someone's just, they're working their way up in the industry, like what's like one tip that you could give someone in regards to like more the business part of the business?
I would say relationships. I would start there. Relationships are the most valuable thing you can have in this line of business. Simply to me, from my experience, rather, because the relationships can carry you further than any education or I mean, you can even know everything about the music business, but if you don't have the relationships that you've nurtured and developed, and formed throughout the years, or just throughout time, even if you're new into the game, right? So when you're first coming in, go to different events, go to mixers and different networking events that different people, producers, songwriters, managers, A&Rs, executives, and begin to develop a relationship with them. Don't always look for money right away. If you're in this business to try to get rich overnight or try to come up real quick, then you
Or
may,
become famous?
yeah, you might as well not even do it. I'm not saying it's not possible, because there are some social media like overnight sensations
Right.
and TikTokers and stuff like that. But I mean, that's not everybody's story. So just to be realistic, you want to keep the passion for it, and really just know that you're doing this for the long run. You're not just doing this to try to get rich or famous in the next 2 or 3 months. Because as a producer, my first big hit was with Ariana Grande and back in 2013. But I mean, of course, when you do that record, that don't mean you get paid immediately. Like I didn't see money for like, maybe almost a year before I started seeing royalties off of that song. You know,
Okay. So
yeah.
definitely don't quit your day job at Bank of America, is
No,
what you're
no,
saying?
that's what I did, but that's not. I wouldn't advise everybody to do that. Yeah, I was
I think,
very.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere, or we talked about it when we first met, um, that you just quit your job and you moved to LA. Like, what spearheaded that? What was the final decision to make that type of a big move?
For me, I think it was just I was at a point in my life where um, I just didn't feel fulfilled with what I was doing, waking up every day, going to clock in at a job. And the thing is, my job was actually, I had a good job, you know, for my
Mhm.
age at the time, and I was doing pretty good to be in, you know, the job that I had, the position that I had. But it wasn't like my purpose. You know, I didn't feel like I was fulfilling the purpose that I had, and I wasn't utilizing my gifts correctly to the full potential. And I knew inside of me, I just had this burning desire that I was able to do more, but I knew I had to put myself in position to give myself the correct opportunity to flourish like I needed to. So it was just a matter of, it was preparation for sure. I didn't just you know, just jump over. I mean, it was like I took about a year to.
Mhm.
I mean, I was saving money. I was flying back and forth to California and New York.
Developing those relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was meeting, like I said, my friend Irock. You know, he really was very instrumental at that time because he would go out with me to California to set up those meetings with different record labels and executives, publishing companies, for me to play my music, just to play my tracks and stuff for them. And I mean, nothing happened right away. You know, it took some time, but then after I felt like I was in a position to where I had some money saved, enough money saved up, and I said, you know what, it's either now or never. You know, I'm either going to do this now, or I'm going to stay where I'm at. And you know, at the time, it just made sense for me. If I failed, then at least I said I tried. You know, at least
Right.
I, you know, said I tried, I gave it my all, and it didn't work out. And the cool
So,
thing,
did you have any fear at that time?
I was very nervous. I was very nervous about it, simply because I mean, I had never been out of Texas at the. Well, no, I had been out of Texas for vacation and stuff, but I never lived anywhere other than Dallas. I never
Mhm.
relocated and lived anywhere other than Dallas, Texas. So you know, I didn't know anybody other than who IROC had connected me to in Los Angeles at that time. I was completely fresh to the city.
I see.
Yeah.
And what, I mean, were you okay with taking that risk? You were fine with taking that type of a risk?
I was, and that's why I was saying the reason why I felt so secure or just reassured about it was because I had a really good relationship with the vice president at my job at the time, and she told me when I put my 2 week notice in, I went and talked to her, and she was like, "Look, I already knew it was coming," and I'm like, "What?" You know, everybody was in. You know, you're intimidated. This is the VP you're talking about. This is just not your manager. You know, you're talking about the VP of the company, but I
Mhm.
had a lot of favor with that individual. She was um, very fond of me and my gift and talent. She had put me over we had like a talent show every like once a month at the job. So
Okay.
she had put me over there. Yeah, so I was like DJing and bringing in bands and
You're
artists.
being very talented,
Yeah, I
being
was
very useful.
yeah, at the job, yeah, at Bank of America. So it changed the entire culture and camaraderie of everything there, and they really so they supported my move. You know, they were very supportive of it, and she said if anything didn't work out accordingly, that I could come back
Okay,
to Bank of
that's
America.
great.
So that I was like, look, okay, that's all I needed to hear. So it's time for me to you know
Well, that would give you added security that you would know that you had another a place to come back to, and it wasn't just like, yeah, okay, bye, see you later. But I
right.
think we have to go to a break right now, so just hold that thought, and we'll see if we're going to a break
All right.
or not. Okay. Hi, how is everyone? We're back. So you were talking about your move to LA, and so you had that backup at Bank of America. So I guess that gave you some security. And then when you got to LA, how was that? How was that adjustment?
That was a culture shock for me. Simply because growing up in Texas, being a country boy, everybody would see me as. I mean, Dallas is a big city, though. Don't get me wrong, Dallas is huge.
Mhm.
But it was just a different speed as far as, the grind and just really getting to it out there. I mean, I was just like so surprised. Everybody on each corner was like very gifted and had like a guitar strapped to them or playing the keyboard on the side of the street, or like everybody was just out there really hustling and trying to make it happen, um, versus back home it's just like you have a lot of talent but you didn't see it, you didn't see so many people that was after the same thing like that. So it just really but the thing was it fueled me to want to go harder and to want to work harder. It just really motivated me to step my game up, you know. And but I had been working so long prior to moving out there that I was ready just on my craft, So my craft was very sharp. My music was really good even at that time. That's what gave me the opportunity to get indoors. When I got the opportunity, the people let me in to do sessions and collaborations because they felt my music was good, good enough to work with them. So it just I say it just really helped me to elevate um, my sound and my music, my craft by moving to LA.
And who's been the favorite person to work with?
That's a good question. I've had a lot of great talent that I work with. I would say my top two would absolutely be Ariana and Tori Kelly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what about them?
The
What
reason
was appealing? Pardon?
I think the reason why I would say because just the level of ability to sing. I mean, they can sing like they can sing like really good. So I mean, just to see how much talent they really got, and to see them in the booth in action, like recording the songs and hitting all these different notes and things. It's just that process. It was mind blowing. Tori Kelly, she's amazing. I mean, she's simply amazing because she can play the guitar and sing so well together. It's like multitasking is a whole different kind of talent, to be able to do those two things at the same time. So I was able to learn a lot from her and Ariana both. Just really learning how to, because songwriting, they both did some co-writing on the songs that was their songs. It was a collective group effort. So I like that most about them, that they were very involved in the writing and record production process of their records.
Do you help write the lyrics or you just produce like the music end of things?
I do both. It just depends on the record and the situation. I have a team of writers that I have cultivated now that I work with, go tos. At the same time, I also have colleagues that are, Grammy Award winning songwriters that may call me into a project, call me in on a project that they're working on, and I'll strictly do production. But really, I can do either one, both. I just try to be, get in as whichever way I can to help and better the record. So if I may co-write on this song and may not do as much production, that's still fine. But another song I may do more production and not any writing at all. So I try to do both.
I see.
Yeah.
And I know on the personal side of things, you've had some, very harrowing tales, and you're now writing a book about that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about I know you were in a coma for
Absolutely.
for a while, so why don't you give us a little bit of info?
Okay. Okay. So I'll try to be in a nutshell with it. So when I was living in LA from that time, from 2013 up to 2016, everything was going well. My career was taking off and I was working with a lot of people. But toward 2015, going into 16, I kind of started lacking on just, self care of, uh, like really just getting proper rest, overworking myself, exhaustion. And I was just so concerned about got to do better, got to be better, got to, just chasing the next hit, chasing the next platinum
Mm,
record, chasing the next Grammy, that I forgot about myself. I forgot about my health. And it ended up leading me to getting gallstones. And if anybody's familiar with it, gallstones are not life threatening or anything, but you have a procedure, normally a day procedure, that's only about an hour or so to go in and they'll remove the gallbladder, kind of like your appendix. It's kind of like a
mm,
similar type of surgery, right? It's not life threatening or anything. So, should have been a quick in and out situation, but I came back home for that surgery back to Dallas, and there was complications with that procedure, just simply because there was some things that happened that ended up causing my lungs to be injured, punctured severely during that procedure, and I was totally fine, completely healthy, other than those gallstones, and then just
mm.
like that, a matter of an hour, my entire life had changed. I ended up being on my deathbed and bleeding internally. Um, my lungs collapsed. I mean, they had to put me on a ventilator and everything. And then by that night, going into the next morning, they induced me into a coma, which ended up being for
Wow.
33 days.
Oh my God. And it was just a freak thing.
Yeah, just a freak thing, and it's like it was a mistake. I mean, it's just like it's. I think I looked up the statistic. It's like one in every million or something, or one in every 800,000 people that would happen to. It's like very rare that happens. Um, and yeah, I mean, even at the time of me just going into that coma, I actually flatlined a total of 5 times, completely gone. Flatline coated. Just my body was completely overwhelmed. My lungs were completely, destroyed and collapsed. And yeah, flatlined a total of 5 times during that
Five times.
5 times.
And they brought you back each time.
Yes,
Wow.
during that 33-day coma. Yes,
And so this is what you've written your book about, correct?
yes
Or
it's
partly about that?
yeah, that's what it's solely about, and also about what I saw and what I experienced during the time that I flatlined and that I died, because I remember those.
Okay.
Yeah,
And do you want to share any of that with us, or we have to buy the book?
I mean, I can kind of talk a little bit about it, but um, I mean, just me being going to heaven, and I mean, these are experiences that I saw. That I
Mm,
actually saw. These were not hallucinations or uh, dreams or anything like that. Like, I know for a fact this is things that actually happened to me, being completely out of body. Even one time, like going to so many different like realms, out of body experiences that I had, and um, being in heaven at one time and talking to family members that I saw that had passed away, prior to, um, and just different individuals that I saw, and then even being over my body at one time and seeing the doctors operating on me, which my family, my mother confirmed that they had done, because of course I didn't know at the time because I was in a coma, but I saw it,
mm,
while I was out of my body. So there's a lot of different things that I experienced out of body, supernatural things that can't be made up, that I experienced, and I'm just sharing those experiences in my book, and along with just the entire journey and the miracles that took place for me to come back from that, because the doctors had said that there was no coming back from that. I like had a 1% chance of surviving that, that incident. So it's
1%.
1%. Yeah, my lungs, because my lungs were, they said my lungs were in such bad shape as if someone had, like a fatal motorcycle accident, or just something, like a really tragic accident. And once your lungs are damaged so badly, there's no like um, regenerating them, or
Yeah, yeah.
repair it to a certain degree. So it was an absolute miracle that took place at some point in that coma for me, for my lungs to. I mean, I didn't have no transplants or none of that. Like these are the same lungs in my
Right.
body right now, and they are completely fine, completely healed. Like I have no
Oh,
issues,
wow. So there's no repercussions from that.
nothing.
You're
I mean, I'm working out. I have a personal trainer. I'm back playing sports. I'm a very outdoors guy. I used to play football, play semi-pro
right.
college football prior to me, moving to Los Angeles and pursuing my music full time. So I'm back to doing all those things, and like nothing ever happened.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, yeah. So I'm very thankful, very grateful to be alive. I know for a fact that I'm a walking miracle, and I'm thankful for that. So that's why I moved the way I move now. And I wanted to be able to write this book to, shed some light and encourage somebody, especially during the time that we're going through with a pandemic and,
Right.
there's so many things going on, so much darkness going on. Just try to help someone.
Did the experience, the near death experience, how did that change your view of the world, moving forward from that?
I say, well, it changed my view, my perspective of the world in so many different ways. Starting out with, it just really, I remember one of the first things that really blew my mind was how the world kept going. Like, I remember before I went under, I think LeBron was playing. It was the NBA playoffs at the time.
Mhm.
And oh, as a matter of fact, just a fun fact. What's today? Today is the June the 15th.
Mhm.
I was
June the
actually,
15th. Yeah.
yeah, I was actually still in the coma right now. This is actually during the time of the 33 days that I was in the
Okay.
coma 6 years ago today. I didn't wake up until June the 20th of
Okay.
2016. Yeah. So
June 20. Okay. Wow.
yes. Yeah. So right now I would have still been under this time, just today, 6 years ago. But back to what I was saying. I remember before I went under, LeBron and I think Steph Curry, they were in the playoffs. They were playing each other, and in the NBA playoffs. And then that was the last thing I remembered. When I woke up, I think LeBron had won the NBA title. A couple of people had passed away. A couple of celebrities had passed away. Like, I mean, it's like a whole lot of things had taken place just in that month time
Mhm.
space. A lot of things had like taken place, and people had went on with their lives, and different things had just kept
Right.
moving. And I was like, wow, like no matter what happens to you, I'm not saying people don't care. They do. My family, my friends, I'm so thankful for them. Those
But
that
other
support
people
me.
are,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the world just keeps moving, like it
Mhm.
never
And
stops.
with that, the world's going to keep moving while we take a break.
All
So hold your thoughts.
right, sure.
So hopefully we'll take a break right now.
Okay,
It's
that was a good one.
a good segue, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, we're having technical issues and I'm in New York and I was running around trying to sort out all this audio stuff.
Oh no, you're fine.
Okay, we're back. How are things?
Right,
So, you were talking about your near-death experience and how it changed your life afterwards. So let's, I guess, keep going with that.
yeah. So that's one of the things I was saying about just the world kept going. People kept living. Events kept happening. Life kept happening. And it just really showed me that life is nothing but a vapor. Like you can be here today and gone today. Just like that. I mean, I was totally fine before that happened, and just like the blink of an eye, I was fighting for my life. Facing death, and um, it just made me become very grateful and just appreciate the moments, live in the moments, appreciate the process, the progress. Um, it's
Did you
nothing.
become did you become more like adamant about things, like more passionate, or did you become more relaxed, like a little more zen about things? Like how did you react?
I was always very passionate. I felt like even prior to that incident happening, but
Mm.
after the fact, I became extremely passionate about things, and then but at the same time, I also stopped stressing so much about things, and I appreciated things more. It wasn't like, okay, did this, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, because we live in a day where everything is like right now, right? Microwave. It's like everybody wants it right now, real fast.
Yeah.
And instead of just living in the moment and enjoying that moment, everybody's like on to the next thing. But for me, you know, it was could have been over for me in 2016. Just like that, I could have been a memory. So it just really helped me to open my eyes and understand that you got to appreciate and also value your family.
Mm.
Shout out to my mom and my family really just being there at the time, like, not giving up on me. The doctors even wanted them to pull the plug, every week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, every
Mhm.
week she said that they would come in and ask her, to make final peace with me. They even told her to call the funeral homes and make arrangements and everything,
Mm.
because it wasn't looking good. It wasn't looking. I needed a miracle to survive or to make it out of that. And so, I mean, now I appreciate my family, my friends, those close to me, and I take care of myself too. I take care of myself better. My health. I eat cleaner. I work out more. I get sleep at night. I learn, it's not going anywhere. I mean, what's for you is for you. You're gonna be successful. It's gonna happen. You just gotta let it happen. Just gotta enjoy the process. So,
Mm.
just things that matter. That's what really opened my eyes.
And how was the writing process for you? Did that happen quickly? Like, are you a writer? I mean, you are a musician, so I mean, writing's not like a foreign thing.
You mean as
Um,
far as with the book?
yeah, for the book, yes. Like, how long did it take you to write the book? What's the title of the book, etc.?
Yeah, well, right off top, the title of the book is called 33 Days because that was the amount of days I was in a coma. Um, I have the well-known not songwriter, the well-known book writer, author Zane, best-selling author Zane, helping me co-write and the book. And we have actually been working on this book. I mean, the moment I opened my eyes, I started sharing my experiences. So we've been at it, for some time. But I say, now it was just I had to put all the right pieces together in order to make it. Before I wanted to launch it. So Montel Jordan, recording artist Montel Jordan, he's actually my mentor as
Mm.
well, for some years. Shout out to him too. I want to shout out to Jordan as well. He
And
actually
how did Montel help you like with your career?
Montel actually he found me on MySpace back in it was MySpace right back in
Wow, that's
2006.
yeah.
Yeah, back in 2006.
You're
Um,
not dating yourself or anything, you know?
right. Right, right. But it was crazy because it was very random. It was just he was just browsing through social media.
MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace, and it was you could put music, like artists and producers and whoever, they could put music on their page, and they gave us the ability to do that. So he clicked on my stuff, and I guess he was loving what he was hearing, so he inboxed me. And
Okay. And what type of music were you playing at that time?
these were just tracks. These were beats,
Mhm.
and I mean,
Okay.
I had a mixture. I think I put up like maybe 8 beats, and it was random, like some R&B, some hip hop, pop. You know, it was just random, different genres because I produce all genres of music. I don't just produce,
Right.
one certain genre. I pretty much try to do everything because I play 3 different instruments. So
Okay.
I try to be very fluent with my sound. Yeah. But yeah, he reached out, and then he flew me out to Atlanta like maybe a
Wow.
couple weeks later. Yeah, and we
That's amazing.
yeah,
I
and
love these type of stories, like all these chance encounters and
yeah,
serendipitous events and like how things happen in your life. And so, and with those, you always say yes to those type of things, or is there any time where there might be someone you meet or an opportunity that presents itself where you would say no, like it doesn't sort of fit what you're
well,
doing or where you're going?
yeah, I mean, well, at this point in my career, absolutely, it has to make
Mm,
sense. So what
mhm.
I'm doing, I've been building a brand brick by brick for, obviously over 10 years now, and
Right.
it's just, I mean, when I was younger and early on when I first met him, of course, at that time you're just trying to find an opportunity, not look like an opportunist, but
Right.
you
No,
just
I mean, you meet people for a reason. I
yeah,
always think
yeah,
like, hey, we met, and that was like
right,
a chance encounter at some event on the red
right,
carpet, and like,
yeah,
hey, how are
yeah,
you?
way
How are
back.
you? You never know how you're gonna meet people. So,
Exactly. So it's just one of those things. Like when I was younger, it was I was just very um, excited and wanted to get in and lock in with people that had been in the industry and had experience, and I wanted to learn and grow and let them hear my music. So that's what happened. And but Montel has been like a very good friend of mine now for, I mean, yeah, since 2006. So he flew out in 2016. He flew out to Dallas to see me from Atlanta, and he was there. I had pictures and everything that he took while I was in a coma. He was there with me and praying for me and everything. Like, he was there with my family. He brought them food and just comfort them as well. Him and his Montel and his wife Kristen. So I'm very thankful for them. They're like family to me now. And he's
mm.
actually he wrote the book forward on 33 Days book that I have coming out this fall. So he wrote the forward on that.
Oh,
And
he wrote the book. Okay, so he wrote the forward. That's very sweet of him. Yes.
so and the release of the book 33 Days will be this fall, toward the end of September. I'll have a official date coming
Okay.
soon, probably by the end of July, and we'll be doing pre-sales as well in August. So
And
um,
where, like, are you being published through a publisher and like all
we're
that?
actually self-publishing,
Okay.
but at the same time, I'm just self-publishing everything, but I'm gonna do a book tour. I'm gonna go from city to city, and
Mhm.
we'll definitely be out here putting in some legwork for it. So everything will
Okay.
be posted on my social media too for
Okay.
updates.
And what's your social media?
My Instagram is at Slikk Music, SLIKK MUZIK,
Mm.
and also my Twitter is at Slikk Music, SLIKK MUZIK. It's all the same across YouTube, Facebook. They're all the same.
I remember when we were talking, before the show and stuff, you were talking about your experience working with Kanye. So I thought
Yes.
that was like interesting um, how was working with Kanye.
I completely forgot. I don't even know why I didn't mention that when we talked about it earlier with
Yeah.
Ariana and Tori.
Yeah.
I actually have to. I'm going to keep those two, but I'm going to put Kanye at the top of that. And the reason why I'm going to say Kanye was probably that session was probably one of the most monumental sessions I've had. Simply because I respect and value Kanye as a I mean, as a producer and artist. Like, he was a really dope producer and a big influence on me as being a producer earlier on in my career when I was first, getting started, because he
Mhm.
was, producing music for Jay-Z and different ones like that. So I think he really has been an inspiration to me for a long time, and for me to like actually had the opportunity to get in the studio and work with him uh, personally was incredible. I mean, he was there. Future pulls up. Travis Scott is there. We're all in there just rocking out, and I mean, it was incredible. I mean, you can't. The energy that was in that studio was
It
unmatched.
was crazy. Yes, I can imagine. Yes,
No
you're having
cameras,
some fun.
no cameras, no cell phones. They not playing.
I see. I see.
Yeah, but
And sorry, go ahead.
I just said it was awesome. We had a great time, right in there.
And what album was that? Like, what were you working on at that
Oh,
time?
the Donda 2 album. The
Sorry.
Donda 2. We were working on Donda.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just
Eh,
recent.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And what else? What else are you working on? Is there anyone that you're working with? Any
Yeah,
artists right now that are exciting, or what's going
absolutely.
on?
Absolutely. Right. I mean, it's only I mean, I can say who I'm working with. I just can't say mention too much, but I can just say,
Right.
I'm in collaborations right now with some stuff for Fast and Furious, Fast X, with Vin Diesel, French Montana, Wiz Khalifa, Spring Break, Future. Also working on some collaborations with Janae Aiko and Big Sean right now, um, as well as Tamar Braxton, working with her on some stuff. Dirk, working with him on some stuff right now, the rapper.
Okay.
I mean, I'm staying busy. So yeah,
Understand.
yeah, I'm staying busy. So I got some good projects coming up that I'm thankful that I was called in to work on right now. And I'll just be, like I said, on my Instagram and other social media platforms. I'll be keeping the updates going, as they come out.
Earlier in your career, like when you were first starting out, were people, did most people believe in you? Were there people going, "Oh, you're a dreamer. You'll never make it," or were most people like, "Yeah, you're very talented."
Well, you had a little bit of both. One thing I can say is my city, Dallas, the DFW area. I had a lot of support from my city as far as like being, I guess, well known as a upcoming producer out of Dallas, Texas. There was, a lot of love and support there. So I had a name and a buzz in my city before I moved to California
Mm.
already. So, that just gave me more confidence and to go out and, go out there and just be brave. But of course, you always got to have, the haters or the naysayers, right? I mean, it wouldn't be right. But at the same time, I let
Not
that be
everyone can love you, right? Not
right.
everyone.
Yeah, it ain't. I tell people all the time, if you don't have any haters, then you're not doing something right.
Right, right,
Yeah, you can't be
exactly.
doing something right. But it really just for me, I use it as fuel, and it's like, I just use it as like motivation. So there's a lot of people that was being very critical of my stuff, like at the back earlier on, right when I was about to move to Los Angeles. I mean, they were saying
They're being critical, you said?
critical, yeah, of my music. Yeah, they was like, "Oh, he's
Oh,
doing too much. His music is too busy," or it's just like
mm.
he's a great musician, but he's just like, his stuff is
Not
just
a good producer. Like
yeah,
you're good at each instrument, but not
yeah, but
putting it all
production,
together.
yeah. So I would say, for me to go in the game, moving into LA and being able to work with Babyface and Ariana right off the top, I
And
say that
how did Babyface come about?
that was when my friend IROC, the one that used to live in LA that moved to Dallas, he connected me with one of his friends named Chris Riddick, who is with a group by the name of the Rascals. It's Chris Riddick and Leon Thomas and their production writing team,
Hmm.
and they were assigned to Babyface. At that time, I had met them first. I didn't know they were signed to Babyface, but we were
Okay.
collaborating when I flew out a couple times. We had got in the studio and just started collaborating on tracks and on writing different songs and demos. So they invited me out one of the times I flew out. invited me to Babyface's studio. I didn't even know it was his studio um, until I got there, and then I
Yeah.
saw all these
Whoa, what's going on? Where am I?
guitars everywhere. you know, but I mean, people that know that work with Kenny understand what I'm talking about. I mean, amazing. You know, he's the goat. But like to be in, we were in Studio B just working and creating ideas and stuff, and then he just happens to walk in while we're in there creating, and I'm
Mhm.
working on a beat, and he didn't say anything. He just walked in, grabbed one of his guitars off the wall, and walked back out, and didn't say a word. The next day, the guys they text me and was like, "Yo, Babyface was really feeling your music last
Mhm.
night, studio session."
Wow, that's amazing. That's great.
It's like, man, that's an honor, So to get that kind of I guess feedback from that was incredible. But that's what led to him just that simple, that one session, writing session, and he happened to walk in at that time, hearing me, produce, and loved what he heard. That gave me that opportunity to work on a song with him, which led to being a song that he presented to Ariana Grande, which ended up
Okay.
being a record that went to be #1 Billboard across the world for over 152 weeks or something like that. So,
Okay. And are there any other serendipitous events or chance encounters that you've had with other people that have been momentous?
I mean, it's several. I'm just trying to think of another one that just there's a lot.
No, you're
It
good.
honestly seemed like almost every placement or song or record that I worked on, um, that I had the opportunity to work on was the Jamie Foxx story. So the way I met Jamie Foxx, um,
Okay.
me and my friends were some of my buddies. I hung around a lot of songwriters and producers, right?
Mm.
So I'm living in the Valley, and we had went to a studio session out, and we was like, you know what, man, we've been working hard for the last couple of days. Let's go to the beach. Like, okay,
Mm.
cool. So we was gonna go to Santa Monica Pier, which everybody knows where that's
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
If you're in LA, you know Santa Monica Pier. So we go there, and it was just so packed. It was like, you know what, man, we couldn't find any parking, so we went up to Malibu Beach. We was like, let's just go up to Malibu Beach, and we'll just chill out there for a while. And so we went up there, and we set up, just out there by the beach. And I look over to the left, and like it's Jamie Foxx over there playing throwing the football with his with his with his kid, and I'm like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, just extremely random. We didn't even I don't know how we didn't see him. We
Mm.
was we was just talking amongst each other, laughing and joking, and we set up there, and yeah, Jamie was like right there. So we was like, oh, there's Jamie. So we went over and introduced ourselves, and he was like, oh, what's going on, fellas? And then when he found out I was from, Dallas, because Jamie's from Terrell, Texas, which is
Mm.
a small town just right outside of Dallas, not even 15, 20 minutes outside of Dallas. And we actually have family that are related.
Oh,
Jamie,
wow. Okay.
yeah.
You did
So,
23andMe?
well, no, he and I aren't related, but like
Oh,
one of my cousins is like one of his cousins or something down the way. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I
it's
got you.
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how it worked. But I told him, and he was just like, "Oh, that's what's up." Okay, so he would call me Texas. All right, what's going on, Texas? So he invited us over to his house that following weekend. Just to party, have a good time, and
Mm.
we went over and had a blast. Chris Brown was there. I mean, who wasn't there? Everybody was there. We had a really good time, and from there, he brought me in to work. Well, he was sitting on a piano in the pool house playing his piano. That's like a thing that he loved to do and sing. I mean, very gifted guy, right? And we're in there, and we just started vibing and creating a song. And next thing you
Mm.
know, it led to me co-producing with him on a record, on his last record that he put out. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like totally from just going to the beach on a random
I
weekend,
know.
and he just happened to be there.
That's crazy.
Great.
That's a very typical sort of LA story, I think.
Right. So, I mean, it blew me away. It was just crazy how it worked out. So that was cool.
have you, especially at the beginning, I'm sure there's been some obstacles and that you've had to overcome. What were some of those?
Um, I think some of the biggest obstacles are as far as you mean in music, just with music and everything.
Mhm.
Um, I guess just trying to find your way. Getting in where you fit in, and just paving your way into the industry because there's so many great talented songwriters and producers and artists and different talent that you know you have to be able to, not be like aggressive with it, but you got to have a backbone. You got
Mm.
to have a backbone in this industry. This is not cut out for everyone. A lot of people see the fame or see the accolades and things, the Grammys and all that, but they don't understand the backstory behind that, all the losses that were taken, all the embarrassing moments, or the projects I did without getting any pay, the projects that I worked on without getting any publishing, being taken advantage of, money being stolen or hidden. There's so many different stories that I had to, I could share,
Yeah,
but that I
right.
went through, experiences that
Well,
I had.
how about sharing like one that's like, I don't like focusing on bad things,
Yeah, yeah,
um, but you can always learn a lesson. So
yeah. They're
especially
always,
for some of them, more for the people that are just sort of starting out, I think it could be a valuable lesson for someone to
yeah,
hear.
all lessons totally. I'll just say like this: just working on a major A-list project where you think you get a phone call to come in to produce this project with someone, and they give you the understanding that hey, we're gonna make sure we take care of you. We're gonna compensate you for your time. We're gonna make sure you get publishing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we've all heard these
yeah,
stories.
we've all heard them, right? I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's like it doesn't change. Unless you never get what you're worth. You never get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate, and that's what I tell people. Is you put
So should someone always should you always have a contract then? Like you shouldn't just trust a handshake or someone's word? Like how do you go about when you say you should always negotiate, how do you tackle that?
Well, you have to feel the room though. Some situations you don't ever want to walk in the studio, because everybody knows, 95 or 99% of relationships and everything in the music business is just the vibes, or just the industry period. It's all about vibing and the energy being good. You don't want to just throw a contract in somebody's face when you
Hey,
just
can you sign this
yeah, you
right
just met 'em.
now?
Nah, you wanna cultivate that relationship. You wanna create a bond, and you wanna water it and nourish it and let it form and let it build. But at the same time, you have to know it's really good to just have representation. That way, you don't have to be the bad guy. You know,
Right, right.
um, that's why it's really important to have management or really good
Lawyer, legal, yeah.
yeah, legal attorneys on your side and ready to have those conversations, those uncomfortable conversations, because I was in personally had experiences where I would be, you know, I'm big bro and them, big bro and that, and I'm little bro, and it's like we family, we brothers, and this and that. But then at the end of the day, when it came time to take care of business, I got the short end of the stick. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if you question anyone, or if you try to rock the boat, then you're the bad guy or you're the villain. A lot of times, because it's just the way it goes, with certain people that you work with in the industry, and people that's
Well,
been
I
around.
would imagine, yeah, when you're first starting out, especially the
Yeah,
people at the top.
yeah, you should be grateful that you're even on that in the room with that person. You should be even grateful that you're even having an opportunity, because there's a million other kids out there that would love to have that opportunity. So,
Right.
but at the end of the day, you just got to know, you got to know your worth. You got to understand your value, and also understand how to. You got to understand people. You got to understand people, and you got to understand that this business is about relationships. So there's been times where I didn't make any money up front on a record, but it ended up charting number one, and I ended up making a bunch of money on the next record because I didn't uh I didn't, throw paperwork in their face right away.
Mm,
But they looked out and they remembered, that I showed that love or that I did that favor for them.
right.
And the record went on to be successful. And now the next record, I got like 8 cuts on the next record, including the single,
Mm,
because of that, that loyalty with that relationship. But every situation is different. You just gotta, again, you gotta know people and you gotta feel the room and check the temperature. So
right, right. But I'm sure there's also been circumstances where that has been the opposite, where they
oh,
haven't
absolutely.
remembered you and sorry?
No, I was agreeing. I was agreeing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
yeah. Like, it was
Yeah.
other situations where it was like you try, you try to be the nice guy, and then they take complete advantage of it. They
Mm,
take complete advantage of it, and they're like, yeah, like, no, but I played keys on this song, or I did, the strings and the guitars or whatever. Okay, at the end of the day, no, you're not the producer of the song, though. you
right,
know,
right.
so it just depends on. I've been in every situation. I feel like now that could possibly, happen, you know, to experience, but
There's nothing there's nothing you haven't
it ain't
experienced,
nothing
right?
I
You're
ain't.
like, yeah, throw fire at me. I can take it. I got it.
Yeah, so I mean, I've learned, but again, like you said earlier, everything is a lesson. I use it all as lessons and just learn from those experiences, and that's why that's made me a better person today. Now I understand. It was one time I didn't know how to really develop or cultivate relationships. I didn't understand that how important relationships were, and
Mm,
I was mad, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna give me what I'm gonna get publishing, and I'm gonna get this and that," and not understanding really all you're doing is just messing that relationship up. So
okay.
you got yeah, you got to know when to pick your battles and which battles to pick in the fight, and when not to. You know, but again, that's just all about. I think that just comes from experience. I think everybody kind of has to go through that when you're entry level and when you're first up and coming, because there's not a
Mm.
manual. there's not like, there's no script that you go off of. Everybody's
Right,
kind of just out here trying to figure it out. So
right.
that's why it's important for me, to just give back. Even with 33 days in my book, I'll be dropping some nuggets and gems in there, just about from the experiences that I've had, with moving to Los Angeles from Dallas and just being a kid from Texas that moved to Hollywood and from nothing, and no, just and had to go through those hardships to get to where I am now. 2 Grammys later and still counting. So yeah,
With more to come, right?
more to
Exactly.
come. The story is still being told.
Mm. So what instruments do you play?
I actually play drums, I play piano, and I play guitar, bass guitar.
And
So
have you always played instruments? Like, has music always been a part of your life?
yeah, yeah. I grew up in church. Grew up in the church, so like that's kind of where I got my training ground. Like, I'm from the South, so church is really big out here. So like I'm a preacher's kid, and growing up in the church, mom's had me up in there all the time. So
Mhm.
I found something though that really I took a liking to. Like ever since I was a toddler, mom said I was beating on pots and her pans, and when we go to my granny's house, she had like these paint buckets, gallon paint buckets out that were emptied out. I would turn them over and beat on them with sticks.
Okay. Hey, you could have gotten a job on Hollywood Boulevard when you were a kid.
Right, I was doing that at 3 and 4 years old. So
Right.
drums were really like the first thing that just really intrigued me, my mind and my ear, and just beats. That's kind of where it started for me. So when I started doing that, mom's got me a drum set. My first drum set when I was 4 years old,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah,
That's
so
awfully brave of her. I don't know if I'd be able to handle all that noise.
I got on her nerves. She couldn't stand it. Like, but she understood the gift that was in her child, and I appreciate her for, investing that and putting that into me. Because look at me now. I mean, from there I started there, and then it was like by the time I was 9, I was playing piano, and then my teenage years, I'm on the guitar. So, and production started shortly after I started learning how to play piano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain to someone who's not in me, like what exactly does a music producer do? And like I know you can play music, but then you're putting all the tracks together and all the different layers of it, or what exactly is a music producer?
Well, a music producer is someone who sees the overall vision. I had to learn this too. I will say I learned this when I moved to Los Angeles, and also shout out to Rodney Jerkins, Dark Child, because this, he's a goat producer. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, all of the greats. That's who
Okay.
really. That's where I got a lot of my chops up and my training from. After I got signed and I moved out there, like he really showed me how to go from being a beat maker to an actual record, producer, music
Mm,
producer, because there is definitely a difference. Um,
okay.
I came out to Los Angeles being a beat maker, being an incredible beat maker. I used to do beat battles and stuff, and I would win. I'm undefeated. I'd never gotten anything other than first place in a beat battle. But moving to Los Angeles taught me how to taught me how to understand that pre-production is important. The songwriting process is important. The recording process is important. And after the recording process of the vocals, going back and doing post-production on once you have
Always editing. It's like
editing.
like I'm a writer and filmmaker,
Yes,
so it's the same thing as you're always edit
it's
because
always edit. So
yeah.
producers are really, we're more than just a programmer. We have to see the entire vision of the artist. We have to, be pretty much, involved in the entire process, the writing process. Even if you're not writing, you every producer should be a writer. I feel like you should learn to write, or at least because you got to have an ear. You're pretty much an A&R. You're pretty
Okay.
much an A&R as a producer, because you have to be able to pick out what's hot or what's not. If this artist is recording vocals, and did they hit that run right, or did they give their all?
Yeah,
Um,
like it was like or
yeah, like, or did they halfway
I
do it?
can't sing. I won't make anyone listen to me sing right now. That I won't make any of you do that.
I got you, but see, to be able to bring the best out of you, though, at the end of the day, you, as a producer, as a hit making producer, you have to be able to bring the best out of the artist and give them the best product. I mean, that's what they're paying you for. That's what they're coming to you for. To trust that you're going to give them the best. So that's how I look at it, and I learned from a lot of the best. From Babyface to Dark Child. Rodney Jerkins. You know, Montel Jordan, different people that have been in the game for years, legends, and that's where that's where I learned. So just like I said, from the beginning of it, when you may just have a piano progression or a guitar progression or chords that you write into, and from
Mhm.
there you have the artist going after you write the song. Doesn't even have to be a full production. It can just be just that one guitar loop or that one piano loop, and you can write an entire hit song from that. And then you have the
Oh wow.
artist go in, yeah, have the artist go in, record a scratch demo to it, or have the writer go in, record a scratch demo, and then the artist will, lay vocals eventually, and then you can go back and do all the post production where you add drums and strings and mallets, bass guitars and 808s, whatever you need, just depending on the genre of the music.
Okay.
So that's where I come from, and that's the era that I feel like, people like Rodney and Timbaland and those different producers that I've studied for years, Jermaine Dupri, and those are people that I really look up to and that I have been following for years. So
And why do you look up to them?
I look up to them because I feel like they came through an era of music when it was like, you know before all the. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody that can make beats on a laptop. I think I got a lot of homies that are brilliant, from making beats on a laptop and off of loops. I mean, they're phenomenal. My hat goes off to them. There's nothing wrong with it. You got to get it how you live. I understand and I respect it. But for me, I guess I was able to be able to catch best of both worlds. So where I grew up on, Quincy Jones and Teddy
Mm.
Riley and Dark Child, like, different ones of that nature, Michael Jackson, James Brown, and then still young enough to understand, like Future and the baby, and different to be relevant, at the same time. So I think that for me, it really with the OGs, like Timberland and those different ones, Swiss Beats as well. Shout out to Swiss too, he's dope. Um, they just really had a lot of musicianship in their production, especially coming through the '90s when I was, adolescence, and '90s and early 2000s in high school and graduating and stuff, and just being so inspired by the sound of music at the time was just so phenomenal. I feel like the '80s and the '90s had some of the best music. I know that's probably a like an argument. That's an argument waiting to have, or a debate waiting to happen, right? But
Right, right.
the '80s and the '90s like had some of the greatest music. Um, that was being created at that time.
Mm. And why do you think it was the greatest?
Just, I mean, again, I feel because it was before the '80s. Well, I guess what going from the '70s to the '80s, it was a lot of what pretty much just musicians that were recording the compositions, right? Quincy Jones was producing them, and you had the musicians going in. The drummer would go in, and he actually would play. And I mean, a lot of rock bands and stuff still do it now, but I guess the programming side of things, as technology began to evolve and to see how um, producers were able to evolve and understand technology and programming, beat machines and MPCs and stuff like that. Because I started out, I'm an MPC guy. I don't know if you know what a MPC
No,
is.
I don't know what that is. Please elaborate.
It's a beat machine. So MPC is a beat machine. That's how you program your music, your drums. You sequence your production in it. It's pretty much like the brain of the. It's what you connect everything to your keyboard, all your sounds. They'll run through that MPC. Little pads on there that you
Oh, the okay. I
yeah,
understand.
yeah. So
I
you
think I've seen people play on that.
yeah, exactly. So that was like one of the greatest creations. Coming from just musicians going into going into like the '80s and '90s of music. And when that came about, it just seemed like the drums and the patterns and the production just went to a different level. And but they still use live instruments too. That's the cool part. So they
Mm.
was able to still be musicians, but at the same time understand how to use the NPCs and program and sequence through those. And I feel like it was just fascinating to me. And maybe because I'm an '80s baby, maybe that's why. That's the era that I grew up in. So
Yeah, maybe that's why. So, how did your childhood affect your music? Like, how did that inspire you with your musical route that you took in life?
I got to go back to the church. I always got to give respect to the church because that was like my roots. That was my everything. I grew up in, and I was the drummer of my church when I was 9, well, no, 8, yeah, 8 or 9 years old. That's when I became like the head drummer of my church. So it like really influenced me. Just like gospel music um, is one of the most complex, like I guess genre or musically, like you have to be really musically inclined
Mm.
to play
To
gospel music. Like
okay,
you gotta be a real musician. Like you can't just like program gospel.
you can't fake it.
Yeah, you
You
can't
mean?
fake it or use. You have to really like. And again, I'm not knocking anybody that produces through like loops and stuff, but I'm just saying that you have to be a musician basically, and that's where I got my a lot of my training ground was just in church. Like we would have different rehearsals, band rehearsals, choir
Mm.
rehearsals, all kind of rehearsals. But at these rehearsals, we in there for hours, and we just having jam sessions. Like the
Mm.
rehearsal will be over like in an hour. We stay like 4 hours later, just in there, just jamming, jam sessions and learning off of each other, shedding off each other, and that's where I learned how to play a lot of the keyboard, the piano chords, and different things like that, and guitar and with the drums. So I would
Nice.
say that a lot of that was very influential to what led to me, my music production. Because as my ability to play music got better, or play instruments grew, my production grew. It just once I got better on instruments, I got better
Mm,
on piano, then now my production is better because I can play more things. I can do more different variety of sounds and chords and things like that. So it was all beneficial for my sound overall and shaped my sound and helped me to really just become a producer and going from my preteens to teenage years.
I see.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite instrument to play?
I would say my favorite instrument will forever be drums. Forever be drums. That was my first love. That was my
Because you
first
want to
love.
make all that noise, right?
I want to make noise, yeah. But see, I honestly play. I would say I honestly play piano more mostly now, simply because I don't know. It just seems like I've gravitated to it more because I understand how important it is to be a piano player and
Mhm.
how important it is on music production. But my favorite instrument, it'll forever be drums. I mean, that was the first thing I started doing.
Making all that noise, making all that noise. And your poor mother having to listen to all that.
Shout out to mom.
So, well, is there anything? I think we're going to wrap it up um, in a little bit. Is there anything else that I think we have a little while longer? But is there anything that you would give like a first time musician? Like, what's your other than you said relationships? What else would someone need to know?
Um, about just the industry and just how to really get started. I would say outside of your relationships and making sure you take care of your relationships because they'll take care of you. Um, still learn the business. Try to learn the business as much as you can. I mean, it's not going to be again. It's not an overnight thing. Some things you can go to school for. You can take classes and stuff, which is always going to be helpful. Some things just happen also just through experience. So as you know run into these situations, because you will run into different situations. So as you run into these situations, just make sure that you think before you speak, or like I said, have representation, have a good attorney, entertainment lawyer that they're experienced in what they're doing and that believes in you, and also if you can find a manager that believes in you as well, that would be good because you just want to be able to try to stay away from being your spokesperson. You want to be,
Yeah, it's not good to negotiate for yourself. I know that. Like, it's always better to
yeah,
have someone else talk for you.
yeah. It's
You can have hard feelings and people get their feathers ruffled and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
And I had to learn that, it just not as professional to represent your own business, your own brand like that. Even if you are just coming into the game, you still want to move accordingly. I mean, you want
Mhm.
to move like you're already like you've been like you know what you're doing here. Because you want that respect. You want people to treat you as such. You don't want to be treated like, oh, okay, this dude don't know what he's doing. Because if that's the case, that's when they're gonna try to throw anything your way. You know.
So
Um,
it's better to get an entertainment attorney than earlier, like as soon as you can, then basically is what you're
yeah,
saying?
absolutely. If you can, yeah, if you can afford that, and if that's, but I get it though, because a lot of young aspiring, producers, songwriters, artists, they don't. I mean, I have the means to do that right that moment. Like me, I didn't have the money to afford no lawyer or attorney when I first, started doing this. But
Right.
at the same time, like I said, it's just relationships. So maybe you can find a way to work something out with that lawyer or that attorney or on some kind of way that could work out. If something
Right.
happens for you, then he can get something later on the back end. Just it's just different ways to do it now. It's different ways to work things out with people that that can represent you. Because a lot of people are looking for talent forever, right? They're looking for
Right.
talented producers. They're looking for talented writers and artists. So One of the other things I would say would be to make sure that you're really never stop being a student.
Mm,
Stay humble. Um, Even with when you do get to a point where you've reached a certain level of success, still be able to learn something. Still be able to be taught or teachable.
mm,
Nobody knows everything, right?
right.
And it's like it goes a long way. I'm not saying not to toot your own horn sometimes, because every now and then it's good to go out and celebrate your wins and feel yourself. You feeling yourself and you feel good about what happened, or say you just won you just won a Grammy or whatever the case may be.
Our Golden Globe or
A Golden Globe, yeah, whichever one, or Oscar. So you want to celebrate your time, celebrate those moments. That's healthy, but get right back in the grind mode. Like I tell a lot of people, shoot, I work every day. I sit down and at my desk behind me, my keyboard and my beat machine, and I produce music like I don't have anything, no accolades.